Hi, and welcome to a special episode of the We Need a Rose podcast. As for the first time, we're kind of covering the London Film Festival. I mean, I'm not, because I haven't seen any of the films yet, and I wasn't there. But we have a first-time guest who has attended multiple film festivals all over the world and was at LFF this year. And that is our first-time guest on the We Need a Rose podcast, Claire from the W Rate podcast. Claire, tell the people who you are, what you do, and what your podcast is all about.
Hello, so I'm Claire. So I would call myself a semi-retired film critic because I would say I'm not currently active. Not to say that I'm fully, done, but I'm not currently anywhere. But so in the past, I've been a film critic for websites such as Cinefied and CineChat, and I've written for the Film Stories magazine and website. And yeah, so I've been doing that, and as part of that, I've been able to go to a few different film festivals all around kind of UK and Europe, and done a couple American ones virtually in the pandemic. I just can't afford to get to America, and America is scary now. So I don't know if I want to go. And then I co-host, edit, and produce W Rated podcast, which is also on hiatus. It's like you think I'm just asleep all the time, which, dream.
The perfect job.
The perfect job. Over on W Rated, we watch the worst rated movies of all time. We take our films from IMDb's bottom 100, and we also annually cover the Golden Raspberry Awards. So most of our recent content has been on that, but we do hope to be back with regular scheduled programming very soon. I'm literally seeing my co-host tomorrow, so I'm going to bully her into some dates.
I mean, I've been following your Twitter for a while, and then we met briefly at last year's Independent Podcast Awards, and then we bumped into each other again at this year's Independent Podcast Awards. And then we had a little chat about LFF and short story. That's why you're on the pod today. And I'm sure it's going to be nice to talk about hopefully some good films or great films today.
Yeah, it's funny actually because sometimes at film festivals you do see some of the worst films, and there was a film that I saw this year at LFF. It was actually how I started the festival, and it's I think my if not my worst, but like my bottom two of the year overall. I just hated it. It was a very over the top artsy German deep thinking never ending film. So yeah, actually I adore going to film festivals, but often they do the full range of my yearly roundup. There's normally a couple in the top, and there's often a lot at the bottom, because you're often seeing films that no one else has seen. So some of these films, it is a world premiere, it's a first time viewing. Some of these films don't have distribution. There have been films that I've seen at a film festival that never got released, that just
Wow.
disappeared. And then it's always funny, in 2019, I saw a film called The Friend, which starred Jason Segel and Cuz Johnson. And I actually quite enjoyed it. There was a Q&A with the director. It came out 3 years later, I think. So it was really,
that doesn't ring a bell.
it kind of got dropped in the pandemic, but it came out so much later, and I was like, because then I got sent like, did I want to do a review of it? And I was like, I did 2.5 years ago. So yeah, no, it's exciting to be able to talk about the good ones, but yeah, film festivals can be a gamble.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that as close as I get to that is like when Cineworld does their secret screenings, and it's funny because everyone's always like, "Oh, it's going to be this," and then like 90% of the audience when it's my local, I'm like,
Yeah.
"Guys, look at what they are. It's going to be small British indie, arty foreign film, and we get maybe one or two blockbusters a year."
Yeah. Yeah.
And we had one of the arty British ones a little while ago, and it was. I was watching it and I was like, "This is like a bad student film. Like this is why certain people shouldn't be allowed to." I'm not going to name and shame, but I was just like, oh my god, just no, no. So
Yeah.
Claire is going to give us her recommendations today from what she's seen at this year's London Film Festival. And yes, there are a lot of world cinema entries in this list, and I already apologise for my name butchering in advance. I've tried reading them all out, so correct me when I'm wrong.
You should have seen me trying to collect my tickets for them. I was like, hoof, 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 hoof. I will caveat also by saying that I did not attend all of LFF this year. I was very lucky in that I was able to go to Portugal for just over a week, so I did miss a big chunk of the festival. So if you are not seeing the big blockbuster names that you would expect to see, it's not because I maybe didn't like them, it's because I didn't get a chance to see them. I also really try when I go to a film festival, especially if I'm not there for the whole time, to look for the world cinema, the independents, because there's nothing worse than getting up and travelling to a festival to see an 8 a.m. screening and then seeing the Netflix logo come up and realising that you could have just spent 2 hours in bed and caught up with it in a week's time when it drops on Netflix.
Yeah, I think that's what Jake Kelly, Frankenstein. Having
Yeah.
said that, I would really like to see Frankenstein in the cinema, but we're just not getting it in my neck of the woods, sadly.
I've unfortunately missed it, but loads of people said that it was very similar to Nosferatu, which I didn't care for, so I wasn't going to make a trip.
We kind of had a split opinion on it. Like, really like some parts of it. It was the design though. The fact that when you see him with the tash and he looks like Dr. Robotnik from Sonic, it just that's all we could see then. And
See, that's funny because the only thing I liked about it was the visuals. I thought it was so boring, but I thought visually I couldn't fault it. So it's the complete opposite.
well, I think one of my co-hosts, David, he's just a massive Robert Eggers fan. Like he was a bigger Ari Aster fan, and then
Yeah.
it was kind of which is better. And then after Beau is Afraid, he's like, okay, Robert Eggers is leading the way a little bit in the minute.
I just rewatched The Lighthouse at the cinema last night, so it was yeah.
Do you know
Yeah.
that is a film it took me 3 attempts to click with the first time because
Mm.
everyone raved about it. I get it. I watch it. I'm like, don't get it. Watched it the second time. Then the third time, it's just like, oh yeah, this is genius.
See, that was one of my favourites from London Film Festival 2019, and actually I liked it a tiny bit less on the rewatch, I think because I knew where it was going, so I was less like, what is happening? And it also wasn't like 11 a.m. on a Sunday, so I was a bit more settled.
Okay, then. So before we get into your top 5 films you've seen, are there any other recommendations from what you did see there?
So I think one of my recommendations, which didn't make my top five, is The History of Sound, which is an upcoming Paul Mescal, Josh O'Connor film, which is period romance, and I really enjoyed seeing it. It just didn't click with me in the way that some of the other films did. So I don't know how much you know about that film at the moment.
I watched the trailer and did a little bit of research. So yeah, it's directed by Oliver Hermanos, who and written by Ben Shuttard, and based on his short stories, The History of Sound and Origin Stories. And Oliver Hermanos, the last film I saw of his was Living, which
Mm.
was the Kurosawa remake of Ikuru, and that
Yeah.
had Bill Nye and Amy Lou Wood in it, and that was
Hmm.
brilliant. And hardly anyone talked about it. I think he got like outside awards
Hmm.
nominate, like people
I
like,
think,
oh, this should be nominated, and then just nothing. And it was really
yeah.
good.
So I think this could very well have a similar thing in that, in a similar way to Living, History of Sound is really quiet and very slow. And actually, I steal the review from the guy that sat next to me and who just chatted to me after it ended, who said it was really gentle, and that is a perfect way of saying it because I would say I found it slightly slow, but when he called it gentle, I was like, that's it. It was really soft, lulling film. It's a romance between two men who are really interested in music, and the absolute highlight of the film is the amazing beautiful folk music that runs throughout it. I'm desperate for a soundtrack to drop on Spotify because it was just the loveliest sound all involved. But it's a very, there's no, things happen, there is drama, there's a central story, but there's no big explosive moment. It's not scandalous, it's just really soft and lovely like a folk song. And yeah, I think if you're a fan of Paul Mescal, if you're a fan of music, if Josh O'Connor as well, obviously stunning man, and if you just want like a lovely gentle film, it's a really nice one. I'm not sure when it's coming out, but I'm pretty sure based on the two of them being involved, it'll get a fairly big release.
Yeah, it should get quite a wide release. Yeah, no, yeah, this is definitely on the list. I guarantee you, we'll probably get it in like January or February because that's just when all the Oscar contenders are dropped in the UK.
Yeah, and that's it. I don't know if it's gonna get an Oscar nom because it's so gentle and quiet and still, that I don't think it's gonna have that pizzazz that is gonna get it in the Oscar talk, which is a shame.
Yeah, whenever we kind of talk about Oscar films, it's always we kind of like establish now that it's always films where a character has to overcome something really traumatic
Mhm.
or life changing, and just simple, gentle films never get that thing.
Yeah.
One of my all-time favorites, well, not films but directors, Richard Linklater, and when Boyhood got nominated, and I even remember seeing, I think it was him or the actor from it saying, "This is just a film about life," and that's the achievement of the film. That was what I just loved about it.
I'm still angry that I watched that film. I watched it was so long and I watched it on a plane, and by the time I hated it, and by the time it ended I was like, I could have watched two good films. So I'm still mad. Me and Linklater have a real Marmite relationship. I either adore his stuff or I hate his stuff.
Yeah, I feel like he's like he does a one for me, one for them kind of.
And I think I like the one for them and not the one for him.
Yeah, yeah, he's like his big Hollywood one. Like, obviously School of Rock is probably the one most people know that
Yeah.
he's done. But I
Yeah.
mean, Slacker, Dazed and Confused. I mean, Slacker is like a bizarre film. Like that was the first one of his I saw, and then I
Mhm.
got into it. Then I saw Dazed and Confused, which is one of my all-time favorites. And I actually wrote an essay on Dazed and Confused to get into college to do film.
Nice.
So that's kind of like that I've always got that kind of affection for Linklater stuff. It's just you don't know when his stuff comes out. Suddenly, oh wait, there's a new Linklater film on Netflix. When did that happen? So
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, that's with everyone now, isn't it, though? Isn't that the way
yeah.
of cinema?
So what have you got next?
So next, again, I'm going to butcher this too. I've been calling it Têtes Brûlées, which it is a Belgian film, which was a really lovely naturalistic film. So another, I wouldn't call gentle in the terms of film style, but not gentle in that it is centered around a young 12-year-old girl whose older brother, who she idolizes, dies suddenly, accidentally. And the majority of the film is the aftermath of that death. It's long running takes in one room of her and her brother's family and friends dealing with the loss going, and it's a really lovely blend of religious custom and modern custom. So you have downstairs, you have the women of the family going through all the religious cultures, customs, crying, laying out food in the dress, and then upstairs you have the lads with this little girl dancing, singing, talking about life. And it's just, I thought it was a really lovely film. I believe it was a debut feature from the director. I'm really gutted because I had to leave early to go and see After the Hunt, so I didn't get to stay for the Q&A with the director because I would have loved to. I did get to actually, as I was leaving, I almost bumped into her, so I did get to tell her how much I enjoyed it, which was nice. It's such a simple idea, but the performances were amazing. It felt like I was watching a real story. It didn't feel like acting. And the young girl, whose name I terribly forgot to look up, so I'm going to look her up now. Her first ever performance, best acting I've seen all year. Like, I just could not believe the range of emotion and depth that young girl was able to give for that film. Safa Gabawi, which again I probably completely butchered that, but yeah, she plays the lead, and just for her performance alone, one of the best things I've seen this year. I don't know how wide of a release this will get. It's a very small independent. It was part of the directorial debut strands. But what I do hope it does is give the director, who also wrote the film, and the cast kind of their boost to do their next things, because I would absolutely love to catch more of this director's work and more of that little girl's work.
Do you think it might get like a best foreign film nomination?
I don't think so. The whole Oscar foreign film debacle is crazy because the country chooses the film. It's not like, doesn't come from the arts committees. I could see, because it's done the festival rounds, I could see it getting nominated for Independent Spirit Awards if, it gets a boost because it's done a few different festivals.
Hmm.
But often it kind of needs to be something a bit bigger and showier, which is a shame. But if she can bring out that wonderful work from like a bunch of kind of new actors, I just can't wait to see what she does next.
Awesome, awesome. And what have you got next?
So next up was Christy, which is one of the bigger, showier ones that
Hmm.
is going to be hanging around name-wise. So Christy is the Sydney Sweeney boxing biopic about professional boxer Christy Martin. I would say, if you don't know anything about Christy Martin, don't look it up, because I went in completely blind. I knew nothing about this woman, and it wowed me. I was so engaged with her story, and there's apparently a documentary which I'm planning to go and watch now. But yeah, this one really got me, in that it's one of the few films this year that I just found myself sobbing. There were two scenes towards the end that I didn't know how tense I was until I wasn't tense anymore, and then I just started crying. The bits of this film that are done well are so good, some of the best I've seen this year. The reason it's not higher on my list is, unfortunately, there are some deep, deep crimes to wigs and makeup. I've kind of read your notes about this, and you mentioned like the amazing Merritt Weaver. I
Hmm.
adore Merritt Weaver. I don't think she can do anything wrong. She turns up on the screen. She's got this like mop wig thing on. I was like, what have you done to my child? What have you done to the woman? It's a long film, and it needs to be long because you need about half an hour just to get over how bad the wigs are.
All right.
Once you're through, it's good. It's a real shame, because I do think if the art team had been given better budget for makeup for wigs, like, this film spans 15 to 20 years of her life, and there's no aging. She looks the
All
same.
right. Yeah.
And so do the rest of the cast. You know, the hairstyles don't change, the wardrobe doesn't change, and it's such a shame because the actual performances, and more so than that, the actual direction and story, because it's taken from real life, are fascinating. And I thought Sweeney was pretty good. Um, People are up and down on her, myself included.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the trailer for this because they show it every film I've seen in the last couple of weeks at the cinema now. So
Mhm.
it's going to get a wide release.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the trailer, I really got this like kind of Rocky mixed with I Tonya vibes. Is kind of what I got from it.
I was gonna say definitely scrappy like I, Tonya, not so much in the filmmaking, but character wise, they
Yeah.
definitely have gone for that like scrappy, going for it vibe.
But what again, like like you say about Sweeney, I think she's very clever in the way she's managing her career.
Mhm.
Like, she's a beautiful blonde girl when you stand in Hollywood films like Anyone But You. She survived Madam Web. I think I remember seeing an interview with her when someone was asking her about like how terrible Madam Web was. And she's like, she just seemed so nonplussed by it because she knew she had Immaculate coming out in a couple of months after that.
Yeah. And I would say I loved Madam Web, so
I got through it. I got through it.
I had a great time at the cinema by myself.
With Immaculate, I think for a lot of people that showed, oh wait, because she produced that, she like helped get that made, and she'd been wanting to do it for a while. And you watch that, and you're like, oh no. Again, if you haven't watched Euphoria, I'm in my mid-40s. I will not watch Euphoria because I'm just no. Why? Why would I? But I saw Immaculate, and I was like, oh no, shit, she can really act.
It was Reality for me. I don't know if you got to catch her in Reality.
No, I've heard it. That's the
I it was a
military one.
Yeah, and she is basically like almost a one woman performance. She was astonishing in that, and I was like, oh, I'm buying stock in Sydney Sweeney now. Like you've won me over here.
Yeah, so again, it's like we was mentioned with Linklater. She's kind of got that one for me, one for you
Mhm.
attitude stuff, which is, it's a great way to have because at least you can, if you get enough money from one of the big films, then you can do two or three
Yeah,
of what you actually want to do, can't you? So,
yeah. And it's funny, like I know she's got some maybe bad politics that like not really worth getting into. But I did appreciate she was one of the few people that like she does a lot of adverts and stuff, and she was like, actors don't get paid enough anymore. She was like, I'm doing the adverts because I need money to pay my staff and pay for a house. And I know it's very, boohoo, it's very terrible to be a celebrity. But at the same time, it is a completely different industry to the industry that people like Julia Roberts grew up in, and I kind of appreciated her candor.
yeah, she doesn't seem to like bullshit, does she? When you see her doing an interview.
Yeah.
I mean, again, the rest of the cast as well in this film, like you got the always underrated Ben Foster, like he's brilliant. He's another guy who's brilliant in everything he does. You got, like we mentioned, Merritt Weaver, Katie O'Brien, and Efren Embry, who for some reason I always remember from the 1998 Jennifer Love Hewitt teen comedy Can't Hardly Wait.
I had to look him up because I was like, why do I recognise him? Why do I? And I actually, it's from Get Over It, is what I know him from.
That's Ben Foster.
Oh, was that Ben Foster? Oh, well then,
But yeah,
cool.
also both of them 90s teen films
90s teen films.
with that was with Kirsten Dunst as well.
Kirsten Dunst, yeah, which I love because I was watching it and I was like, where do I know this man's face from? And yeah, very, very different performance.
Yeah, no, Christy's definitely on the list because I think that's going to be out in the next couple of weeks on general release, I think.
No, yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, really looking forward to kind of learning more about her as a person. And it was funny, actually, for the first half of the film, whilst I thought Sweeney was good, I kept wondering why they hadn't cast Katie O'Brien because I kept thinking how much better Katie O'Brien would be. And then she turned up playing a different boxer, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm happy now.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to seeing Katie O'Brien in The Running Man as well soon.
Yeah, I just like seeing Katie O'Brien in anything.
Yeah, not enough people talked about or watched Love Lies Bleeding last year, man, because that was so good as well.
Yeah, I caught it towards the end of last year on streaming, but so good, so good. Really impressed.
That was that Rose Glass?
Yes. Yeah.
So again, can't wait to see what she does for the next film. We was doing an episode a little while ago where we picked what books we want to see adapted into films. There is a book called, let me find it, it's literally on my shelf here. Daviola by an author called Jennifer Thorne, and the blurb on Amazon literally says White Lotus meets Hereditary.
Oh.
About a woman going crazy in a haunted villa in Italy.
Oh my god, amazing.
And I was like, I just was like, right, female horror filmmaker. There's so many great. You've got Jennifer Carpenter could do it. You've got Rose Glass. Again, I'm looking. Who did Censor? Plano Brady Bond would be perfect.
Yeah.
So again, all these, because we always have this thing about if you're a female director and you make one film and it's not a massive hit, that's it.
Yeah, you don't do anymore.
Whereas you see the same guys like trying out for stuff again. And when we was talking about who's going to direct it, and I was like, no, we need to go with one of these directors who's made one really good film so far and just hasn't had a chance to do more so far.
Yeah. No,
But yeah,
I love that.
that's a book. Also, is also bizarrely not one of my favorite actors, but Dakota Johnson would be perfect for it. Like when I was reading it, that's who I could see when I was doing it.
My theory, because a lot of people think she's a bad actress, my theory is that she's just not a natural actress, in that when she is working with the right director, I think she gives an
100%.
amazing performance. But I think when she doesn't have the right director, she's not someone, you put someone like Saoirse Ronan in a room, she could act with no director, she can direct herself. Dakota Johnson's not got that, and that's okay because you need a good person steering the ship. And when she's got the right script and the right director, I think she knows exactly what she's doing.
Although I did see one bad Saoirse Ronan film. Again, the performance wasn't bad.
Mm.
Foe.
Oh, I did hear that was bad. I didn't see it, but I did hear it was
It
bad.
felt like a feature-length Black Mirror episode, and I was like, in fact, I haven't already done this storyline in Black Mirror last season. Yeah, with Johnson, I think she gets better. She gets directed better on the smaller films.
Yeah,
Like Peanut Butter Falcon was brilliant. Cha Cha
yeah,
Real Smooth,
yeah,
superb.
yeah.
Even the remake of Suspiria, she was
That's the one that,
amazing in
yeah,
that.
I thought she was brilliant in that. I've seen, yeah, she's been really great in certain things, but yeah, she needs that smaller. And it's funny, obviously her experience on Madam Web, she's spoken about how it was like just not the film she signed up for. And so it is interesting that obviously she gave, I loved Madam Web, but I loved her line deliveries. I felt very seen by that film at certain points. But you can see that she's not comfortable in that character skin. She's not at home with the script. And when you hear how many changes there were, it makes sense.
Getting back on one thing because we can easily go off point loads here. What have you got next?
So I've got Pillion, which do you want to introduce Pillion? What do you know about Pillion? It's not even how I say it. I had to Google what it meant. This is
Pillion.
a film that I thought was French based off the name.
See, I thought pillion was a different word for riding in a sidecar on a
It
motorbike.
is.
Riding pillion.
I've never heard that phrase in my life. I googled it after the movie and I was like, oh, that makes sense.
And that's, I'm guessing, yeah, what the film's named after. Yeah, so Pillion is a British romantic comedy drama written and directed by Harry Lighton in his directorial debut, based on the 2020 novel Box Hill by Adam Mars Jones. The film stars Harry Melling as a timid gay man called Colin and Alexander Skarsgård as an enigmatic biker Ray, and they start a BDSM relationship. So it's essentially Eric Northman and Dudley Dursley, the gay biker movie. But the tone of this trailer suggested it could be a bit more light-hearted in tone in places. And again, I didn't realize it was British as
Mhm.
well. And then the one line that slew me in the trailer was Colin's mum going, "How did you get a man like that?" When he's showing him a picture. I was like, "Yeah,
I didn't realise it was British, and not only is it British, it's actually set like 20 minutes from where I live, in a place called Bromley, which is where I used to work. And understanding that Alexander Sarsgaard not only knows of the existence of Bromley, but knows where Primark Bromley is and has walked around those streets, just like I kept being like, what? And I was like, that is not an experience I've ever had in Bromley. I've never seen anyone like him there in my life, and so that just kept making me chuckle.
So it was
Kept
definitely shot in Bromley,
It was
this opening
100%
set."
shot in Bromley. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, "Oh, that's there," and I used to get my lunch there. So, yeah, it just really made me laugh. It's a great film. It is, I don't know if I call it a rom-com, but I think it's definitely gonna be marketed as a rom-com. It definitely is at times. It's for me, it was more of a comedy drama, about, yeah, this poor, very timid man, Harry Mellons, who is just too scared to get out there and then sees the most gorgeous man in the world and somehow manages to get his fancy. It's an interesting look on BDSM films. I would like to hear more from the BDSM community on how accurate it is, but I saw an early screening of this and then happened to be at the BFI about an hour before the premiere, while I was waiting to actually go and see Têtes Brûlées, and there were just tons of the BDSM community out in force supporting it. So I do think it's been quite well received by that community, but I would love to just know more. But it's poignant, it's sad, it's funny. There's just some great one-liners. It's graphic at times. It's interesting at times in that regard. I learnt more about a few things than I think I ever needed to know, but colour me curious. But even if you are, let's say, a little bit more of a prude, there's still a lot to get from it. It's still really, really lovely. And Melling and Skarsgård are just like knocking it out of the park. As Skarsgård like knows what he's doing, and probably has some of the least lines for someone who is a lead in a movie. He's in the majority of the movie, but probably only says about 2 words per scene. But his presence is so good. And I just, really enjoyed it. It was a really nice little surprise from the film, and I hope that it gets seen, because obviously gay stories, LGBTQ stories often get less release, and it's a directorial debut. But I'm hoping that Skarsgård's a big name, and maybe some of the Harry Potter community who have maybe been left behind by the rest of the community will come out in force for a more joyous film.
I mean, you've just described my co-host Marie. She's like,
Yeah.
like she was one of those Harry Potter people. And that when we did one of our episodes recommending, she found another magic, but more inclusive magic
Mhm.
book set in Scotland, and it's like, just go and make this, because we don't need
Yeah.
that now.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think this could actually be I think, like you say, despite people going, oh no, it's a gay film and I don't want to watch that. I think it could be a crossover hit because that trailer, I think you show that trailer to the average audience
Mhm.
and they will be into it.
Yeah.
And then they'll be shocked by the graphic nature of what you said. But it's too late because they're into the film and they're enjoying it. So,
And it is quite good. It earns it. So it's not just scandalous straight from the beginning. Like, it does earn it. And I say it's I just mean in terms of the average viewer who probably watches a crime drama on ITV. For people that actually really like stuff, you'd be like, is this a Disney film? It's just, I'm thinking, like, if my mum watched it, my mum would enjoy it, but then she'd be like, oh, it got a bit much there in the middle. I'd be like,
yeah, I was like trying to convince people to go and see like All of Us Strangers earlier in the year. And I was like, it's like a mystery, it's kind of a sci-fi thing. And I just sold it to people to go that. And it was funny because people I know who wouldn't go and see that type of film went to see it and it's like, oh yeah, it's really good. I watch it, and they just wouldn't go. But it's like, oh, yes, I got someone to watch it.
yeah, big one from me when that comes out. Definitely go see it, and support independent British film. Yay.
Yeah, I mean, one of my films of the year is definitely going to be, well, two of them actually are going to be small British ones. I Swear,
Mm.
which was a secret screening at Cineworld a few months back. And again, I just thought, I know what the film's going to be, but it was so moving as watching it.
Oh,
And also the lead actor in it, you forget that that's Elrond from the Rings of Power TV show. You're like, how is that the same person? His performance is so good. And
oh.
also the fact that the film's whole message is about people being educated about Tourette's syndrome.
Yeah.
So it's not just a brilliant film with great performances. And I love the fact that it's such a roller coaster film because you're like, something nice good happens to him. You're like, yay, and then something horrific happens. There's something good. So it's like this roller coaster the whole way through the film. I kind of what's good about it, it's going to end well because it starts in the present day with him getting his award from the Queen, who he tells to fuck off.
Amazing.
And that's how you start the film before the credits. I was like,
what
brilliant.
a great way
like,
to start a movie.
Yeah, like telling the Queen to fuck off. Hilarious. So next, what have you got?
I've got J. Kelly, which I was very apprehensive about.
Yes, because I think I saw one of your tweets about this, and you was like, "I'm not expecting to enjoy this at all." And I'm I saw the trailer for this as well, and I was like, "This looks like a prime. Give us an Oscar film." And for me, Noah Baumbach can be very hit and miss in terms of his output. For me, like some of his stuff's brilliant, and some of it I'm like, I watched that, and it's a film. And the trailer for this just looks very like, give us all the awards. It's definitely what we're going for.
So I'm not a Baumbach fan. I've seen 2 or 3 of his films and didn't enjoy any of them. I find him to be a Woody Allen wannabe, and I don't like Woody Allen. And I'm just saying, I didn't like Woody Allen when I first saw his
Before.
movies in film school in 2007. I was like, why are you making us watch this? I get it. Like, is it ending yet? I don't need sad New York lonely boy monologues for 2.5 hours. So that is my issue with Baumbach films. But I adore George Clooney, and I love films about film. So I was like, oh, I do want to try this. I've got a very good friend Billy, who is like Baumbach's biggest fan, who actually got to interview him for this film. So very, very lovely for her. But she saw it before the film festival for that reason, and she was like, you won't like it. And I was like, oh no! But I got a ticket anyway. And I am happy to say I loved it. It's in my top 2 of the festival. I found it so lovely. Now, I will preface it, I'm such a George Clooney fan, and it's basically George Clooney playing, he's not playing himself, he's playing an actor called Jay Kelly, but he might as well be playing George Clooney, a man who has gone through his career with the most success, but at what cost? Is he a man anymore, or is he just a facade? Who is Jay Kelly, and who is he as a person versus Jay Kelly, the actor? Adam Sandler plays second lead, and he's brilliant. I love Adam Sandler when he is being serious, when he's being poignant, when he's not doing a bad accent. And I'm happy to say that this was not sad New York lonely boy monologues. I do feel like some people might say it's a little bit indulgent, and are indulgent pieces, but there's a real theme of flashback through it. And from a filmmaking standpoint, I was just so charmed with how they flowed the flashbacks through. And I really enjoyed just the whole story of, did I live my life right, and reflecting back on the moments that made your life. And I just couldn't fault the acting. I thought was brilliant. And this was co-wrote. It wasn't just a Noah Baumbach. He wrote it not with Greta Gerwig this time, but with Emily Mortimer. And that was my actually only criticism of the film, is that Emily Mortimer is randomly in a scene and she's doing a really odd performance, and then she disappears. And I was like, what the hell was the point of that? And then at the end, when it came up that she had co-wrote it, I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense now.
Random though, isn't it? It would be
Yeah.
more strange if you're like, oh wait, Emily Mortimer wrote this and she's not in it. Would be so. Perhaps that's why she's got the one scene, because people would be like, why is she not in it?
But yeah, I just thought it was lovely, and definitely get what you mean. It's very Oscar baity. But you know what? I want George Clooney to get an Oscar, so let him be. Let the man be. And I'd love to see a nom for Adam Sandler. I don't think he deserves a win. I don't know who I think deserves a win, but
Yeah, it's a bit early on the Oscar.
I would love Adam Sandler just to get some recognition for when he does good. You know, the whole thing about, he said if he got the Oscar or got nominated for Uncut Gems, he wouldn't do any more terrible Netflix comedies. And Hollywood wouldn't let it happen. And now we have to suffer things like Hubie Halloween. So, you know.
What was the? Was it Happy Gilmore 2 as well?
Yeah, I wasn't a
Yeah.
fan of the first one, so I did not bother with the second.
Yeah, I'm not that big a Sandler guy, to be fair. Again, it's like you say, it's Punch Drunk Love and his better performances. So do you think he could potentially get a Best Supporting nod then for this?
I don't know how crowded the supporting. I've not really looked up, because where I haven't been very active in the criticism world this year. I've not looked up who are our top contenders. I do think there's no front runners yet, though.
No.
Like last year, or this year technically, the front runner was always Culkin. Is it Kieran Culkin? He was just from the outgo. Everyone was like, it's his award to lose. I don't think there's any front runners yet, and I don't know what's come out of New York and Venice and Cannes that everyone's like, these are our contenders. I think at the moment it seems to be quite an open year. So if it is an open year, I can absolutely, Hollywood are big fans of Baumbach.
Films about Hollywood as well.
And films about Hollywood. So it wouldn't surprise me if he managed to get in there, but it also wouldn't surprise me if he didn't. But I would expect a original screenplay nom for this.
There's always certain films where they're only going to get one, and it's usually that one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this has got an all-star cast on. I mean, I was looking at the cast for this film, and I was like, okay, so Laura Dern, Riley Keough, Billy Crudup, Jim Broadbent, Patrick Wilson, obviously Greta Gerwig, Eve Hewson, just to name some of them.
Yeah.
And I could probably reel off another 20 names that you'd all recognise.
And I think some of them are in it more than not. I actually thought Riley Keough is only in 2 scenes, but they are 2 of the best scenes of the movie. The film knows how to use her so well, and I'm becoming more and more of a fan of hers. But where it does have those flashback elements, it really lends itself to the big ensemble cast, and everyone's just brilliantly cast.
And of course, this is out on Netflix, isn't it? I think next month.
Yes, so it went against my rule of not seeing a Netflix movie, but I am really, really glad that I saw it on the big screen, because I do think, based off my not great relationship with Baumbach, I probably wouldn't have bothered putting it on Netflix. So I'm really pleased I have now, and it makes me think maybe I should try just one more Baumbach film.
Squid in the Whale was it? Is a good one.
That's the one.
That was the one. Oh, okay.
I didn't like that one. I didn't like that, and I didn't like Marriage Story.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of Marriage Story. I didn't like White Noise either.
I didn't bother with White Noise, and everyone said that's the one I should try because it's the least him.
Yeah, but it's a lot.
Squid and the Whale, I just got annoyed with them all. I was like, no one. I think it was something like, no one really speaks like this. And sometimes I love films like that, and sometimes I really, really don't. But yeah, this one, I just loved the Hollywoodness of it all.
Nice. I think this will be one to get the parents to watch at the weekend as well. It's that kind of
100%. Yeah, this is a great if you're sat around Christmas with mum, dad, and no one knows what's watching. Just stick it on.
before we get to your number one, because that's definitely going to be a
Hmm.
heavy film, shall we say?
Yes.
A little bit of levity. One film I really got to recommend, just because it's funny, because at the day as we're recording this, all these big trailers are dropped. There was a
Mhm.
Scream 7 trailer, and I was like, yeah. There was the Stranger Things season 5 trailer dropped, and again I was like, eh. And also for Stranger Things, funnily enough, I watched that trailer, I was like, you could have picked such a better song, which usually you do.
I'm not a Stranger Things fan, and I've not watched the trailer. But I've seen a lot of criticism online, and
Yeah.
people were just like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah, so the trailer, the best trailer I've seen in the last couple of days is actually for a film called Fackham Hall, which literally looks like a cross between The Naked Gun and Downton Abbey. And Jimmy Carr has written it, and I watched this and I was like, this looks amazing.
So I'm a little bit gutted. I've not watched the trailer yet, but last week I got through like Show Film First or something, I got an opportunity to sign up to get an early preview of it as a test screening. But it was in Wimbledon and I'm the other side of London, so we didn't go. But funnily enough, my boyfriend, when I was looking at the email, he was like, Fackham Hall. He was like, God, who would name something that? It sounds like fuck 'em all. And I was like, Yep, well done. That's the joke. You're with us. And he was like, oh. And but all it had was that name. It didn't tell us anything about it other than that was the name, and it was written by Jimmy Carr. I think we were busy anyway, and then just location didn't work. But now everyone's saying how funny the trailer
Yeah.
looked, because especially it's a parody of Downton Abbey, and everyone's like, "Are we in 2005? What are we doing?" But seems to be now the trailer's come out. People seem happy.
I showed that trailer to my mum, and I had to show her it again because she was laughing so much she missed half of the jokes in it the first time.
Amazing,
And so her
amazing.
and dad are like, "Yep, we're going to the cinema to see that." I was like, also again the cast, you got Catherine Waterson, Damian Lewis, Thomas and Mackenzie is in it.
I love
Um,
her.
she's so good in everything, isn't she?
Yeah, I want more for her.
What is the film she did with Anne Hathaway?
Eileen.
Eileen. That was really
Yeah.
good.
I really enjoyed that.
I've got a letterbox list of films, and it's films where Thomas and Mackenzie. It's only two films. Films where Thomas and Mackenzie becomes obsessed with a blonde girl, and it's that and Last Night in Soho. Last Night in Soho.
Which is a film I really didn't like, and I saw that at Venice Film Festival, and that was one of those ones. I got up at 4 in the morning to book my ticket for that, and then I had to get up on the day at 6 a.m. to get the boat over to get to the 8 a.m. screening. And oh, I was angry. Oh, I did not like. No, I'm like such an Edgar Wright fangirl, and I was like,
To that.
what have you done? But then everyone, I don't like World's End, and I don't like that, and I like every single other thing he's ever done. So we all have hits and misses.
Yeah, I mean, I was a really big fan of it, but only purely because I think it showed him doing something different when he could have easily just kept making Hot Fuzz style films for the rest of his career. And he's like, no, I want
Yeah.
to do something different. And yeah, it worked for some people, and it didn't for others.
I think visually I loved it. I really loved all of the work he did. I thought it was very interesting. It was the script for me, and
Mm.
actually I was really surprised to find out that it was co-wrote with a woman, because while I was watching it, I was like, no woman has ever read this script, because there's not a woman in the world that would ever speak like that. And then to find out it was co-wrote by a woman, I'm afraid I can't remember her name, which is terrible. But I was really surprised, and I did wonder how long the script had been sat, because I just found some of the dialogue to be ripped out of like a 2004 film, and I was like, we've really come past that.
Mhm.
And it might be, being a woman who grew up in London, and at the time I was actually working at a university, and it shows a young woman moving to a university in London, and I was like, oh, that's not how any of this works, and that's not what. So I think I just started on the wrong track. But performance wise, she's brilliant. Anya Taylor Joy is brilliant. It has some questionable. There's a debate to be had on its view of sex work. I think it doesn't know itself what its view of sex work is. But my favourite thing is actually I really love looking at the behind the scenes making of it, because that's
And
just so fascinating.
that dance sequence
Yeah,
behind the scenes was
just
amazing.
beautiful, beautiful work.
So that brings us to your number one from the London Film Festival this year, Claire, and that film is The Voice of Hind Rajab. And this is a 2025 docudrama written and directed by Khalfa Ben Hania. Apologies again if I've got that wrong, but they are a Tunisian filmmaker. And it follows the Red Crescent response to the killing of Hind Rajab, a 5-year-old Palestinian girl killed by the Israeli Defense Forces during the invasion of the Gaza Strip. And the official synopsis is January 29, 2024. Red Crescent volunteers receive an emergency call. A 6-year-old girl is trapped in a car under fire in Gaza, pleading for rescue. While trying to keep her on the line, they do everything they can to get an ambulance to her. Her name was Hind Rajab. I mean, Christ, just reading that last line almost makes you well up. So yeah, this is one of those films that you know is absolutely going to be emotionally devastating, and I wonder if that might actually put some people off seeing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know too much about this going in, other than I think the synopsis I read. In fact, actually, ooh, let me. I actually have my handy BFI London Film Festival brochure, and I just wonder what their description was. Page 35. So I just read this synopsis, which was gathering audio from actual phone conversations. Kutha Ben Hania's devastating film recounts the story behind the murder of Hind Rajib. So I did not know that this was about the death of a young child, and I think I had forgotten by the time I watched it that it was, true to life. Um, it's one of the most devastating things I've ever seen. It's a docudrama in that it is acted out by roughly 5 key players, but all set over one day in the call center. But when they are speaking, it is scripted dialogue. The voice that is speaking back is the real voice of the
Oh,
5-year-old girl Hindrajib. So you are hearing, and it puts up just the voice wave, and it
mm,
has the name of the file. So you are hearing the last words of this young girl. And then there are times where it switches and it's no longer the actor or actress, it's actually the real call center person, and you're hearing their real voice. I found from a filmmaking aspect, I found that fascinating. I found it was really interesting, and I thought it was done really cleverly. Like, it didn't ever take me out of the film, it completely weaved really naturally. I was devastated. I just, like, cried so many times throughout the film. It actually kind of made me chuckle. The man that was next to me had a big box of popcorn, and within, like, 2 to 3 minutes of the film starting, I was like, "Oh, he is gonna regret that. This does not seem like a
cool.
popcorn film." And he was munching it away for, like, 10 minutes. And then the first kind of devastating thing happens, and I'm sobbing, the girl next to me sobbing, with rustling for tissues, and then Popcorn Man, like, just very quietly puts popcorn on the floor, and I don't know if he was crying, but he definitely was, like, emoted, moved. And then I think he had a little, like, pat of his eyes or whatever, had a breath, and then it continues on. And then he got the popcorn back, and then just carried on. And it was a quieter moment, like, it was a kind of procedural moment of the film, but I was like, "Good on you, sir." Like, just me, my tissues, and my water bottle. I don't think I even cracked open the Pepsi. Like, I was just like, "Whoa." But, different folks, different strokes.
Well, at least he waited for what he obviously
Yeah,
thought was the right moment
yeah.
to go
And
back to
I
his
mean,
popcorn.
some people eat through their feelings. It's a tough one because I struggled to know how to review it. I struggled to know how to rate it. But filmmaking wise, I thought it was brilliant. The performances, oh my god, I don't know how you get through that. And then just as a story, I think it was a really important story. But I have seen some criticism, which is very valid, of what is the point of this though? Because is it too soon to make a story like this, make a film like this? Because the conflict is still ongoing, the genocide is still ongoing. We're just turning it into entertainment. Is it, making us feel like, oh, clap, 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 I watched a movie, I felt something, and we can move on. And that did make me think, and I was like, oh shit, yeah, like I absorbed that, and then I went for a walk through Regent's Park for an hour and thought, and then I went and saw my next film. So, is it doing the right thing to move it? But then the inverse of that, the way that I saw it when I came out, I saw it as what I hope is what the point of the film was, in that this could be the Palestinian genocides Anne Frank, in that this is a recorded conversation of the real experience of a young innocent girl, and all of the work that the team did to try and save her, and it shows you all of the bureaucracy and all of the red tape. And I felt like the film, that basically there's the guy who's on the phone to her, who just basically what he wants to do is get in a car and go get her himself, and then you've got the head of the organization who's doing the right thing and ticking the boxes and ringing the right people and doing all that, and it's taking hours and hours and hours. And how do you explain to a 5 or 6-year-old girl that it takes hours? she's just like, come get me, come get me. And I thought it did a really good thing that there were times where I just wanted to shake the bureaucratic man and be like, just go and get her. And then there were other times where I was like, oh my God, can this young man who's desperate to go and save her not realize he's making it harder? You have to go through the box ticking exercise, you have to jump through the hoops. Um, and like, not to make it about me, but I previously was a Samaritan's call centre volunteer. So I have sat on the phone and had some very, very difficult conversations to faceless voices. I have spoken to people at real times of awfulness, and I've spoken to people at different times as well. But one of the worst, some of the most difficult calls I had were the ones where you couldn't do anything because I was a woman on a phone in one place and they're a person the other side of the country, and what they need is not me. They need real medical support, they need funding, they need all this. And I was able to remember how awful I felt in that situation. And I'm not speaking to a 5-year-old girl in the middle of a conflict where she is being shot at and bombed. So knowing that this was real, I don't know how the people who this film who the real people from this film, I don't know how they got up the next day. I'm sure they did. I'm sure they continued to get up every day and keep going, because what else do you do? But I think it's just, it's an amazing true to life account of you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And I hope that it doesn't just get forgotten, and that, like I say, like Anne Frank's diary. You know, what was the point of that little girl writing that diary? But now every kid in the country reads that diary, you know, in school, and we know all about it, and we know so much about the normal people that are Holocaust affected. Hopefully, this film can have a similar thing, and that the voice of this young girl and her family and the Palestinian people isn't forgotten. That was very deep.
I mean, we knew it was coming. I mean, I think films like this, they need to be made, and like where you said, what was the point of it? I think they need to be made to force people to look at what's been going on in these past years, because I think a lot of people, you know, if you think of like how it's been shown in the media, everyone's shocked and outraged for a little while, and then we forget about it and move on, and it's still going on. And a film like this, when you're sat there and you're forced to watch it and you're forced to deal with it, it forces an audience to engage with the story, and hopefully, like you say, then get, you know, angered and outraged by the story again.
Yeah, yeah. And that's it. It's just continuing. I think there's quite a lot of big Hollywood names behind it in terms of production. It was produced by a lot of Hollywood actors have kind of small production companies, which can be seen as vanity projects. And I think that's the concern, that maybe this was made in terms of a bit of a vanity, a little tap on the back. But yeah, like you say, I hope it does bring awareness. You know, one of my favourite films I saw last year was No Other Land, which was a Palestinian documentary, which, you know, won the Oscar. Did it did it help? And then the poor guy, one of the documentary makers, was inevitably killed. But he has a legacy. Maybe it will. I don't. You know, it's very hard to know what it does. I'm so in the mindset of art has to be revolutionary and art can change the world, and so I hope that by choosing to do things like this, it does help in some small way.
I mean, I think there is quite. I mean, this definitely sounds like something that should be up for best film,
Mhm.
best foreign film in the Oscars. I
Yeah.
mean, probably best film, but let's face it, it won't get best
No.
film nominated, but it should be in that category.
Yeah.
But then again, I think it might even have some competition, because I was reading about a film called Palestine 36 coming out as well.
Yes, which
That
was at the festival. I I felt that one felt too much. That
mm,
one felt like it would be too much. I hope I will get to see that. Sometimes I'm part of a film critics association, so sometimes we do get sent films around awards time. But I remember speaking to someone else actually at the festival, and we all kind of agreed. Everyone kind of picked one Palestine film because it's so heavy. It's so much, which is awful to say, because, you know, then there's people that are actually living it 24/7, and oh my God, how lovely to have the luxury of being like, "Oh, I'll only do one." But yeah, there were a few at the fest. There were 3 or 4 just at London Film Festival, so I'm sure there's more out there that weren't even at this festival. But this was the one that I went for because of my own experience in crisis call centres, and yeah, I thought it was brilliant.
Well, on that bombshell, that brings us to the end of this week's episode of the We Need a Rose podcast today. I'd like to thank my guest, Claire from W Rated. Claire, when can people find you on the socials?
Yes, so you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, and now Blue Sky, though I've made only 2 comments. So let's see if I figure out Blue Sky. You can find me at Claire Ellen Hope, Claire without an I. That's where I am. My Instagram is mostly pictures of my cats. Tomorrow is Halloween, and I already have some very lovely pictures of them in Halloween outfits ready to post. Twitter is my random ramblings, mostly about Grey's Anatomy at the moment. And yeah, that's where you can find me. And W Rated is W Rated Pod most places. And hopefully we will be back very soon, because I've been desperate to talk about Shigley for forever, and in the time that we've been doing the podcast, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck have got back together, divorced, and potentially back together again. So I'm like, come on, we're missing the...
That is literally a running joke with one of our co-hosts. We have a co-host in Florida whose nickname is J-Lo, because his name is Jose Lopez.
Oh, nice.
And he's a photographer, so the running joke at the end of every episode, when he plugs his website for his photography, is, and Jose, are there any pictures of any of Jennifer Lopez's weddings on there? He's like, not yet, but
soon.
And you can find me at Needed Roads on Twitter. I forgot the we. I'm also at Neil Gregory78 on Instagram and Threads, and on Blue Sky. And also, we are at the We Needed Roads podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Substack, and we're even on TikTok now, because Marie forced us to go on there.
I tried to join it, and it said that every single email account I'd used had been banned. I tried 5 different emails, so apparently I'm too old for TikTok.
So, if you like what you've heard, hit that bell icon and subscribe, and don't forget to leave us a comment and let us know what your pick of Claire's top film from LFF this year was. Right, I'm off to find out when all of the films you recommended are coming out in UK cinemas, because us mere mortals who still haven't yet ever gone to a film festival can see them as well. Make sure to join us next time on your favourite film festival-powered pop culture podcast. See you then.
We Needed Roads.
What are you looking at, butthead?